Acknowledge me.
You just made the list.
I am the BEST.
I'm better than you, and you know it. Damn.
Bonjour and welcome back to Down Under the Mat podcast here in Madison Square Garage around the pool table of relevancy. To my left, Monsieur Daniel Danielson. To my right, Bonjour, Reece.
Baguette.
Je m'appelle Bucoted. And as I said, welcome to Down Under the Mat podcast. We're here for the review of Backlash, which I'm sure, as you can tell by my horrible French and French accent, was held in Lyon.
Oui.
In France.
Baguette? Croissant?
Escargot.
Oh, no.
Look, it's been a long weekend. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are, aren't you?
It's a great pay-per-view, though.
It was
It was pretty phenomenal, wasn't it?
Da 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 da.
Sorry.
For those of you who may
That's,
not have seen it yet, that's zero context, but
It's going to be a
sure
recurring
you've seen
joke
it.
this episode, so
I'll get
apologies
those
in advance.
chants up for us, just so we're aware.
but I'm sure. Look, anyone who's seen, because we will talk about SmackDown on our other episode. We're just covering Backlash on this one. The Lyon crowd, holy crap, man!
Just
Like,
absolutely hot the entire
good.
night.
and
so
I think we
good.
all agree they're at least on par, if not better, than Puerto Rico.
Oh, leagues above.
Oh, I mean,
have no
They're
doubts.
up there though. I think it's top two.
I feel like Puerto Rico was good. They were really great for Bad Bunny's entrance.
I was going to say, that's the
Yeah.
peak.
That's the
Yeah.
peak. But Leon was just
All night.
100% all night.
Let's just say Lyon were on the whole time.
Leon.
Were Lyon
They
the whole
were
time.
Leon. But you're right, though. Like, the chanting and the sound of that entire crowd from
I just can't believe
the
it.
open to
The close.
the finish was superb. The entire thing, and as you do have to sort of take it back to Backlash in Puerto Rico last year.
Yeah.
They were a hot crowd. It was way hotter than we ever thought that crowd would ever be.
Yep.
And that Bad Bunny entrance was absolute
Yeah.
peak. The whole crowd singing it. The whole crowd. When this opened and everyone in the crowd was singing Randy Orton's music. It was like superb. And then,
Yeah.
like I said, they've done this a couple of times. I know AEW do it a lot with Judas, with Jericho when he comes out. When the music stops, but the crowd keeps going.
Yeah.
And they
That's
did
what
that
they were doing.
for this for Cody's one,
Yep.
for Kingdom. So good. So good.
And
This
I think
crowd,
you were saying it was like 11,000 people, I think it was said.
11,500.
But I tell you what, they sounded like 50
oh, absolutely.
plus.
Yeah.
Like it was loud within that stadium.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about it on the other podcast too, but like the noise complaint they
Yes.
got for SmackDown, Triple H on his iPhone or whatever.
Oh, that
Apple
was
Watch.
someone from the crowd.
Yeah, you're getting the
Yeah.
loud alerts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was reaching decibel
mental.
levels it shouldn't be in
That's
that kind of a
crazy.
venue. Amazing.
And, I mean, maybe this becomes a bit of a thing in future, that Backlash they hold in a different country every year, and it's just got to try and outdo the last crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, now that you've had Puerto Rico and Lyon, like,
We're getting Scotland. We're getting Berlin.
Yeah. But where would you put Backlash next year? If
Yeah,
You've
where
gone,
do you go?
You've gone Puerto Rico. You've gone France.
they haven't really done Japan, have they? Or they just don't want to step on toes?
Yeah, I don't think they
Is that-
can. I don't
Yeah,
think
okay.
I don't think they'd be welcomed.
And
per
Japan
se.
would be very quiet anyway. Their crowds are very...
They're very
Well, yeah, I thought somewhere in Asia would probably be somewhere to go, but I don't reckon you'd get this crowd in Asia anyway.
No.
Do you try India? They've
they've done India, but
tons
not
of
televised
tours
it. Yeah.
over there.
Yeah,
So
maybe.
maybe it's time for a
non-televised.
PLE.
Interesting.
I mean, you could just come back to Australia on the East Coast.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic, mate.
Yeah, do it in Sydney, Ace Arena.
Yeah, it'd be phenomenal.
So we'll get into it. The first match of the night, and what a way to kick off the
Kicking it
show.
off
We
in
had the
style.
Bloodline up against Kevin Owens and Randy Orton.
Yep.
Which was initially supposed to just be a tag team match.
That's never happening.
No.
Not after SmackDown.
But what's interesting is that Randy and Kevin individually had longer entrances than Roman Reigns, and I don't think that was sort of meant to
No,
be
he was
to
playing.
begin with, because obviously Kevin, with his French speaking, was very popular with the crowd, and I think he was expecting
man,
that
Kevin Owens
Randy's
right there.
music was going to come on a bit quicker, because he sort of stood there. There you go, KO. he sort of stood there and looked back at the entranceway, I think expecting them to just hit Randy's music, and then for whatever reason, whoever's backstage has probably gone, no, just let it ride, let it ride, because the crowd's going nuts. And he just sort of stood there in the laneway, and it got a little bit awkward because he just sort of stood there and was like, "This is awesome, but I don't really know what to do." And
because he didn't want to get to the ring before Randy came out.
Exactly. He wanted to go in together, and then Randy came out, and they were just as boisterous. And as you already mentioned, they were singing his song, which I don't think's really been a thing for Randy in other places. Like I know Cody and that have had songs sung, but I don't know how many
not
crowds
so
have
much for
actually
Randy.
sung voices.
Not to that level at least.
No.
Like,
They knew every word of every song. It was so good.
And you could see like Randy was like overwhelmed by it.
Oh yeah. Did they sing all of the Def Rebel songs? No, they didn't.
No,
because
they
suck.
didn't. Isn't that funny?
Just quietly.
Well, we'll get into the match. So obviously we had Solo and Tama Tonga come out as well. And there was a bit of a brawl before the match even started.
Yeah.
And referees were coming out and breaking it up. And, the match hasn't started. Nick Aldis comes out, does his little pop and speaks French and says, whatever you want to do, let's do it. There's no DQ. And off they went, which is what everyone wanted anyway.
Yep.
I
And
think
left
that
the
was
door open for something to happen.
literally the best choice they could have done for that
sure.
match. Just
Absolutely.
especially with the lead up and then brawling so much, and then starting the match with the brawl.
Yeah, well, and even like from SmackDown, where they started with the brawl and then they finished it, and then they went to whatever else, and then they closed the show. They were still brawling backstage.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is not going to be a tag match.
Yeah.
It's never going to work.
The whole match, and as you already said, the whole pay-per-view, like the crowd just, whoa, hey, boo. No, like the whole time they were just so
Well,
into
and-
it. And they didn't chant too early for We Want Tables.
One,
they waited.
That was just two.
That was just two.
That was
Hang
just
on,
two.
let me see if I can get the.
You got to get the actual French for it, and I will
Do I have to
try
get the
my
chance?
best.
These
So,
the chants are just like
un, deux, simplement deux, which is one,
Un,
two.
deux, simplement.
Simplement.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Simplement.
And I like going through the Reddit thread of what the translations were. A lot of people thought they were saying "sacré bleu," which is what I thought they were saying too.
like that sometimes.
But it wasn't.
But it was really cool because at times they were chanting in English and French, but you could
could
hear
tell the
them.
accent.
You could hear the
Hear how
accent
thick their
being
accents were.
chanted in English. Because when they were chanting "This is awesome," I thought at first they were saying "This is awful."
Yeah.
Like I was like, "Oh, that's a bit rude."
This
but-
is awesome.
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 But look, there was
Say
great.
it right, Frenchie.
They spread the match
Chowder.
out. How long, the match went for
Chowder.
19 minutes and 25 seconds. I actually felt like it went longer
What
than that.
well, including the brawl, I guess. You throw 5 minutes.
And-
in
Yeah, you could
start.
add another 5. Yeah, that's true.
What I liked most about this was that as soon as they made it no DQ, they went to town. They went through tables.
Yeah.
They went through trash cans. They went through kendo sticks. They put chairs, and they did spots of all of them that were validated. So like when
Yeah.
they started throwing chairs into the ring, you're like, oh, this could just be nothing. But no, they made a spot out of those chairs.
Yeah.
They kept getting tables out. They made spots for those tables. The
Yeah.
frog splash from KO off the apron through the table was great.
Yeah.
All of the things that they built up for
Yeah.
worked.
And also, anyone out there who thinks, oh, they use kendo sticks because, they don't hurt, look at Tamatonga's back.
Yeah.
Because very early
Where that
on,
came from.
he got hit and you could see those welts come up straight away.
buddy.
I think that might have been a welcome. I don't know. Because it's his first
It's his first match.
match, right?
I think he did one on the live circuit in the lead up to SmackDown and
Oh no, they did it on
Backlash.
the three of them. They did it because I think they were in Italy twice, Austria, and then France.
Yeah,
So
okay.
yes, they did house
So,
shows.
but first televised. Yeah.
But yeah, like imagine your first televised match being on a pay-per-view.
with that crowd.
Yeah.
Props
But
to him.
look, the whole match paced very, very well. There was some really good spots in it. As you said, I liked how they sort of started using all of it. And it literally was a brawl. Like, they didn't try and wrestle. It was just a street fight brawl. I think, obviously, the big highlight for me was the Fisherman Brain Buster by Kevin Owens on Tamatonga off
Onto the stack of
turnbuckle,
four
onto the
chairs.
stack of chairs. That was absolutely hectic.
That looked amazing.
And he sold it well. He didn't just all of a sudden pin him for him to kick out like they would do at maybe a rival. No, I'm just going to do that. I'm not going to throw shade. I'm sorry.
I did like too that Randy RKO'd Tamatonga.
Yeah.
And he didn't kick out, but Solo broke up the pin.
Yes.
So they
Protected
didn't
it.
bury Tamatonga, but they also protected Randy at the same time. So I think
Yes.
they did really well with that kind of stuff. The table spots were great. Obviously, the crowd being when they set it up at the start of the show, you obviously had Michael Cole and Corey Graves, the English commentators. Then you had the two French commentators.
Who are super over.
They are massively over in the
Yeah.
crowd. So, reading some context to it, I'll have to find what both of their names are. I can't remember the second guy's name, but one of their names is Agias Charo, and he
Yeah.
got chants all night long. The way that the France were saying is that they used to be their Raw and SmackDown commentators,
Yeah,
as a
right.
duo,
Yeah.
but then this Charo guy left and owned. So, yeah. And so he wasn't part of the partnership.
Right.
It was him and another person.
Yeah.
But now they got the two best ones that everyone in France wants back together for the
Right,
pay-per-view.
okay.
And that's why the crowd was so hot for these two guys, because this is like their Michael Cole and Pat
Taz.
McAfee again kind of thing. Oh, yeah. The two people. Taz is a bit of an old reference there, but all right. But
old
yeah, that's
Taz.
why the crowd was so hot for the commentators.
They
and the
really
French.
were. I mean, there was a point in the show later on where they're chanting his name, and you can
he's
see
like-
on screen he's like, "Don't chant me, you chant them."
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, it's not about me." But good on him. I mean, and then the finish, obviously, big spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen. You can click away now.
Tonga
Yeah, Tonga Loma?
Loa.
Loa. Tonga Loa, which is Tama
formerly
Tonga's
known
brother.
as wow.
Camacho.
Camacho.
So spoiler alert for those that don't remember,
10 years ago.
in 2014 he was with I can't remember the guy with Hector or something.
Yeah, I think it was Hector.
Hector and whoever we said was Camacho were the guys that rode out on a Mexican bicycle.
Yeah.
And that was Tongaloa.
Well, he came in and he's pulled the ref out while the ref was about to do the 3 count to give Kevin and KO RKO the
Yeah,
win.
Kevin and KO.
And then obviously Solo, far out, man. He ended up getting the Samoan spike on Kevin, and he absolutely sold the
that like
shit
a
out of it.
champ, spitting and
I
spluttering.
was gonna say the spinning was the part that got me
afterwards,
too.
yeah. Well, I know there's probably a few people watching that thinking that he was legitimately hurt, but he's just such
He's
a
just
great
a
champ.
champ, man. Yeah.
But dude, it is making me so excited for what's going on with the Bloodline, because now you've got the 2 sons of Haku,
Yep.
who have teamed up with Solo. We don't really know, like Paul Heyman's doing his bit to make sure
That's
that
the
we're
part
not
too,
sure
yeah.
who's in
And they're
control.
like
what's
with the
happening.
rumors of Jacob Fatu coming in as well. Where is he going to fit into all
The
this?
selling, I think, to me was Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
When he was outside the ring, how shocked he was looking, and when Tongaloa showed up, he was shocked and he showed it. And then when they all got into the ring at the end,
he's
and
just
Solo
like-
puts the ones up,
Yep.
and they all put the ones up, and he just looks at Heyman, and Heyman kind of goes, I probably should do this.
Yeah.
His selling is superb because and this sort of goes on to the point further down the pay-per-view where you see them backstage where Jey Uso's around and they all kind of just face off with Jey and walk past.
Yeah.
And Heyman just sort of looks at Jey, and then there's a complete look of like uncertainty and fear in his eyes. Like he's just, I don't know what's going on, and just walks past.
Yeah.
Obviously planting seeds for the whole, bloodline versus bloodline thing we think is going to happen. So well done.
Oh,
Like the
beautifully
debut, perfect. We knew there was going to be shenanigans. As soon as this became a no DQ match, like, great, Bloodline's going to win this. What are they going to do? Exactly what we wanted. We're adding more and more people to it. And at no point, I think, does this bury Randy or KO.
No.
No, not at all. Not
This
at
just gives them another match, and they
Not
just need
at
to
all.
find another partner now.
Not at all. Look, I mean, what a way to kick off the pay-per-view as well. Like, I mean, I don't think anyone expected that to be the first match.
No, not at all. No.
Also, to have a debut like that in the first match as well, I think that was probably well done.
We
Because it maybe
expected
threw
a
people
debut,
off.
but it just wasn't the one that we
No,
thought we were
no,
going to
yeah,
get.
exactly. Which leaves it open for awesome debuts down the track.
Yep.
So on to the next match, which we had the first of 2 women's matches on the card.
Sorry, what time is it? What time is it?
It's Tiffy time.
Tiffy time! Now, she wasn't quite as popular as she was here in Australia.
Because of Jeff Rebel. They ruined her music.
But,
She asked for it. She Def Rebelled herself.
I know. She shouldn't have done that.
I mean, at least so people know who she is when
I
it
don't
comes
think
up.
this one is that bad.
It's better. It's better than Damien Priest.
Because she had her NXT one,
Yes.
and then she got a new one, and then this one's...
I would have just put
different one.
It's Tiffy time and then played her NXT music. If that
Just
was
stick
my
with
option, I would have stuck with the music she had just with the Tiffy time at the start.
Yeah. Well,
We hate Def Rebel.
I tell you what, she wasn't as popular, but I tell you who was popular. Naomi.
Yeah, she's way
That was
when
really
the whole
surprising.
crowd doing
Yeah.
these ones
Yeah.
with it the whole
Hey,
time.
hey.
Like I said, that's the biggest reaction she'll ever get. No offense, but...
I mean, it's,
offense.
I mean, she got the reaction though.
most
So
of the
it's
people
not
are going
really
to be
a
the
burn.
biggest reaction they ever get was this show.
But yeah, that was a bit of an odd one. But then obviously Bailey was quite popular as well. And as soon as the match started, we had the
we get the Hey Baby
hey,
chants.
hey, Bailey, ooh, ah. So, still very popular. It was just odd, I guess, after us seeing it firsthand in Australia how popular Tiffy was. I just sort of expected she'd be that popular again, but she seemed to sort of be like not that they didn't cheer her, but she just didn't get as much of a reaction.
No, there was still a
as she
TV
did
time chance, but
elsewhere.
yeah, it wasn't the same.
So what did you think of the match? It was 13 minutes actually. This was the shortest match, 13 minutes and 10 seconds.
I think it was a good
I think it was a really good match.
13 minutes. Really kept you engaged and kept your attention the whole match as well.
Yep, and I like that they didn't go the normal triple threat route as well, like they've done recently, where someone's just outside chilling for the whole
Yep.
time while it's a singles match in the ring.
Just doing
There was a lot of three-way sort of
fluid
moves.
There's a lot of
and
three-way
just-
moves. The rolling pins where they were trying to pin each other at the start was good. I also liked that essentially that there wasn't that sort of no friend spot between Naomi and Bailey. They're kind of just like, all right, we're going for it, and they just went straight into the match.
I thought there was going to be some of that at one point because early on in the match, I saw Naomi drop kick Bailey when she was trying to kick Tiffy.
Yep.
And she was just like, shit. But then they didn't build off that at all, which I was really
But
happy
but
about,
then
'cause,
she
like,
did that flipping neck breaker onto
Jesus.
Bailey
Off on the outside,
from
yep.
Barry
Off
barricade. That thing was epic, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
But look, I think the only thing that got me from this match, and I think you guys can agree because we all sort of did it at the same time, the ending caught me off guard. 'Cause
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to
Surprise
end
ending.
when it did. It really was like, that was the end.
And I think,
Okay.
unfortunately, all three of us were looking at that.
Just at that time. Because Tiffy sort of got thrown out of the ring, and I thought, okay, there's something going on. And I looked fine. And then ding, ding, ding. And I was like, shit.
But it was
at the
the
wrong
finish they
time.
had to do though,
Yeah.
because you couldn't have Tiffy take the fall
No.
because she's got too much momentum, right? You also didn't really want Bailey to pin Naomi like clean from like hitting a finisher and like it's done. She kind of just snuck through the win, got it, and then they were like, "Oh, you got me, well done, good match."
Yeah.
That was the finish that we needed. In
Yeah.
that Bailey had to retain.
Yeah.
Naomi doesn't lose anything because you got me with a roll up. Damn it.
And they embraced at the end too. Naomi went
Yeah.
over and gave her a hug.
And Tiffy was strong throughout the whole match. The cartwheels and the stinger splashes and stuff she was doing, like they made all three of them look really good in this with the right person winning. So I think it was well booked.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we'll move on then.
Sure.
All right.
Nothing to complain about.
And the crowd was still hot by this point. Need to point out, still
man.
going. Most other crowds would have been like, okay, we need a break now.
No, not at all.
not these
they
guys.
just kept going all night.
Well, we went on to a championship match, actually. We had Damian Priest, El Campeon,
El Campeon.
defending his title against Jey Uso. This match went for 15 minutes and 45 seconds.
What do you have to rise for now? Rise for the
they
Outlaw.
rise for the outlaw. Rise for the
was
Campeon.
Rockstar, wasn't it?
Rockstar. Yeah.
Dude, why? How can you put
what the
Rockstar and
fuck
Outlaw
is
in the
going
same
on?
thing? They've ruined his music. Sorry, seriously, I loved his music. His music was awesome. It was one of the best in WWE at this current time, and they have absolutely Def Rebelled it to death. It is terrible,
It makes you deaf.
and it's horrible
makes you
because
want to
I
make-
feel,
And it makes you rebel against
because
it.
I feel really sorry for Damien because we all waited so long for him to get the title, and I get they're probably trying to do this whole thing of it's a new era, so we're going to give everyone new music. I'm going to do this new thing. Let him keep his music, man. There was nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Like
I
nothing
agree.
wrong with it.
I agree.
Why do you need to change it? Anyway, I'm sorry. You can tell I'm passionate.
Yeah.
It just I don't know. Like the words over it just don't fit. Like Rockstar or Rise for the Rockstar.
And I mean, you can tell Damien's leaning into it because
Yeah.
during the match when he was trying to get the finish on Jay, when he was down, he kept saying, "Rise, rise."
yeah.
I don't ever
Not a
recall
fan.
him doing that
No,
before.
that's
Not
a
a
new
fan.
thing.
Like
No,
I know
that's a
normally
new thing.
waiting around for like the South of Heaven is fine and sort of stuff like you
Yeah.
generally wait for it, but not him calling out "Rise, rise,
No,
rise."
it's odd.
It's not a great catchphrase. I don't like it.
Other than that, I thought it was a good match though. Like I didn't see a problem with it. Like Damien was quite dominant, which is what he needed to be, because obviously being the big, tall, strong guy that
There were
he
definitely
is
a
over
couple of
Jey.
moments where you thought like Jay might pip it.
Oh, for
And,
sure.
like, it's good to insert those.
I think we need to talk about Jay's entrance
Oh,
coming
dude,
from the crowd, doing these ones.
they were going off.
They loved it. The whole crowd was phenomenal. For this whole entrance, like the whole way in, which is great. So,
Because they were doing it with the lights on their phones,
phones,
too
yeah.
at the same time. So
Yeah,
they
so
turned the lights on, but were also
Yeah.
eating away.
it looked so good. Yes, lots of good news falls. I still think Jey Uso has the worst spear in WWE at the
Yeah,
moment.
it doesn't look that good. I think
Damien's
he should
wasn't
just
that much
drop it.
better anyway. But I liked that they they kind of went a little bit on each other's finishes. So when Jay hit the spear and then the Uso splash and then Priest kicked out.
Yeah.
And Priest hit a South of Heaven or big kick in South of Heaven and then Jay kicked out. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of put it up as, they're both really strong. They're both going really well for this. Because, you know, obviously, like you said, Ted, you've got to give Priest a really good championship match to sort of define him as the champion now. But you also have Jey Uso, who was handed the keys to being the face of Raw from Cody Rhodes and the number one draft pick.
Yeah.
He's got to look really good too.
Yeah.
And he did.
And I think both of them came out of this with a really good match where they both looked good. They both hit their spots. The crowd was behind everything. And
Good flow.
the right person won.
Yes. Yeah. But it was done in the right way too, because obviously you had JD come out, try to interfere. Then you had Finn come out. He's tried to interfere. And I'm loving the way they're going with this, with the fact that Damien is pissed. He's like, why are you out here? I told you specifically, I don't need your help.
Yes.
I don't need you.
But he does, because JD putting his foot on the rope was the only reason that Jay didn't win.
Exactly. But then, obviously,
story.
you know, Finn comes in, distracts him. Damien got the win because of the distraction. Finn and JD then come in and start beating on Jey Uso.
Yep.
And Damien goes, no, don't. That's enough.
he's
had
had
enough.
Shoves both of them out of the way.
And he was in Finn's face.
Yeah.
Like, that was...
grabbed him by the chin. Like,
You stand there,
It's-
you
it's
stand there, we
it's coming.
celebrate. So
it's coming.
it's
like,
planting the seeds for obviously Judgment Day to have a breakup, and we know. I mean, I'm probably will talk about it a bit more on the other one. You guys talked about it a bit more last week, because you already got Dom and Liv being teased, and now we're seeing this breakup with Damien and JD and Finn. So
My only problem with it is that it's likely going to be Finn Balor getting fed to Damian Priest and not getting the title.
I don't really see a problem with that myself.
Finn's
had a good run.
Finn's got to finish his story, mate.
But he won
he's
the
gotta
title. I know he didn't keep it because of
He's
an
got to
injury.
finish his.
but
That's the real story when he
gotta
finished in
finish his
WWE.
story.
finish
He's got
his
to
story.
Irish
Oh, jeez.
his story.
Who comes out as face? Do you think they're turning Damien face?
I think so.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Because I mean, I don't think you
Because I think like the way that it's going at the moment, like they're teasing Damien getting sick of them, and he's going to be the one that like what happened on the pay-per-view. He pushed Finn, he pushed JD.
Yeah.
They're going to retaliate. They're going to beat him down, and they'll be the
maybe
heels.
I reckon it's almost looking like the other way around. That he's
I
going to
don't
get the
know,
shits
man.
too much,
Yeah.
and then he's going to hit them.
But I think it's really hard because obviously Finn could be face. I don't see a problem with that.
You
He's
can't
done-
do it with
He's
JD,
done it before,
yeah.
but JD can't. He's a Weasley little guy. Like I just don't see him working as a.
Well, it's the same as Dom. I don't think you can see Dom
As a
going
face.
face at
No.
any time soon either. So, yeah, I think part of Judgment Day has to stay heel. But I just don't know if we're gonna cheer Damian Priest the way they think they want us to cheer Damian Priest.
Well,
and I don't want this to be a big dog situation.
No, it's okay. I don't think it will. But I think there might be
that's a
there might
big
be
call,
some
dude.
more there might be some more strategy here, because in future, if there's any matches, obviously in Spanish speaking countries, then
They have a big face.
They've got then
Yeah, of course.
there's Damien, right?
Yep.
because he's El Campeón. So
Campeón. Senor
But
Money
look,
in
I
the
mean,
Bank.
I think right result. We had some movement in storylines, even though it wasn't massive movements. We had, the cracks were showing in Judgment Day.
And I think
shall
that
we
can
say.
potentially lead into Clash at the Castle as well. Because
Yes.
now that Finn and JD attacked Jay after the match, that gives him a reason to come back and want to challenge Damien again.
Yeah.
So we could potentially get another match with the
Yeah.
two.
What about when maybe he needs a tag team partner to take on the Judgment Day,
Oh,
and Jay doesn't have a
Jay
tag team
steps
partner
up.
because Cody was his tag team and he's now on a different show.
mate, look at you.
Who else would
Look
Jay
at
reach out
you.
to maybe as a tag team to help him out?
He's cooking.
Rikishi. Tag team with his dad, just like Dom did.
All right. Well, we'll move on to the next match, which is actually the second last match of the night. There's only two more to go. The show itself, there was an hour of pre-show, by the way, and the show itself went for about 3.5 hours. The actual card. So
Did you see on the pre-show that
Good timing.
CM Punk got locked in the Performance Center or wherever it was filmed?
No.
Yeah.
really?
If you go onto his Instagram, he actually got locked behind and he couldn't get out of the WWE building or wherever he was.
Oops.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have
Funny.
a statement to make before we talk about this
Are
tag
you
title
going to
match.
give someone an internet troll more credit than they deserve?
Probably. Well,
Yeah.
like I've seen it on a few different pages now that people were trashing Jade Cargill, which is like before I'd watched the match, I was like, oh no, that's not good.
I think, throughout her career so far, she's never been a superstar in the ring wrestler. She's had some good spots, some
She
good
did
moments.
fantastic in this match.
I was very surprised. pleasantly surprised.
Yeah,
that
but also,
she was good
I
at
think
this.
what Rowdy's getting at is that people were throwing shade at her that because there's a bit in the middle of this match,
Unwarranted.
and obviously we're talking about the tag match between the Kabuki Warriors and Bianca and Jade for the tag titles, women's tag titles.
Tu t'es trompé.
You stuffed up.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know what I like too, and like because that chant is, you know, you effed up is what the chant is, but they chanted that as tu t'es trompé in French.
Yeah.
But then when they were chanting the good stuff, like they were saying you are this is awesome stuff, that was in English. So they knew when they were swearing, they weren't going to swear in English because that'll get cut out of the
Yeah,
broadcast.
yeah, whereas
so
they
you can
did it in
swear
French.
in French. Don't know what it says. Well done, crowd.
Well done. Very smart. But look, what Reddy was referring to is people were throwing shade and saying there was a bit in the middle where there was a bit of a stuff up. And they were saying that it was
miscommunication.
essentially they were putting it on Jade, and we watched it, and
It's nothing to do with Jade.
it wasn't Jade's fault
Nothing
at all.
at all.
In fact, if anything, Kyrie stuffed up and potentially Asuka stuffed up because they didn't realize that they had tagged, and she went for a pin and then went for a submission after she was told, well, you can't pin because you're not in,
legal.
and then went for a submission. It's like, well, what do you do? You also can't submit her. You can't pin her. And there was this awkward sort of movement, and then they had to redo that whole segment like 5 minutes later.
But what I
yeah.
didn't get with the fix for that, right, was that that when the referee called it and Kyrie was doing it, right, and he said, "You're not the legal person." They went, "Oh, okay." So then Kyrie then got her up and took her to the apron and tagged in Asuka.
Yes.
But Asuka was already tagged in.
Yes.
So why did she
Yeah,
tag
it-
her? Well, she was already
I don't know.
in.
There was some miscommunication somewhere,
just-
and then it all just sort of went downhill. But
Crumpled. But
what I want to focus on is what you've already said. Is I think Jade looked very good in this match. Her moves that she was pulling off looked fine. Like the
finish.
backbreakers,
The strength
we'll get to
that
the
she
finish
has,
in a minute. But just her kicks that she does. And one thing, can I say that, and it's something that I notice a lot now in the last couple of years of watching wrestling, is when they do the run of the ropes and they do the, I'm going to hit you, but I'm going to miss. Mm-hmm. And you can see some of them then they're like, ah! And, you know, but she actually does a really good swing, but she times it right at their head, but makes it look like I actually wanted to hit them and they've ducked at the right time.
Yeah, I
So
did
that's
notice
one
that.
thing I want to point out that she does really well, because she literally goes to look like she's going to take their head off.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, sometimes, and again, I'm not a wrestler, so I don't want to critique too much, but, you know, when they go to do that
sell
clothesline,
it
they just
right.
go over their head.
I think she's learning a lot from Bianca. I think the double powerbomb spot that they had looked great. A couple of suplexes and stuff they were doing, like we saw this when she came up in the Royal Rumble. There was that stalling suplex spot with her and Bianca. I think they're teasing that sort of stuff longer term, which is great. I do want to give credit, although they did screw up in this part. The Kabuki Warriors sold really, really well.
Oh, they did. Yes.
For every move that they had. And Kyrie gets so much credit for the amount of times that she was jumping around or being thrown around. There was the spot when Bianca and Jade just grabbed her and just threw her up in the air.
Yeah.
And she just landed.
And landed. She
she's
sold very well.
So well done.
And you already started mentioning it. Obviously, it was Kyrie that was involved in the finish. So she was jumping from the turnbuckle.
well, before that happened too, they also hit the insane elbow.
Yeah, they did,
They hit
yes.
their finish
Yes.
and Bianca broke it up.
Yes.
So there was a
It was
legitimate...
protected.
Jade-
and it was
Jade broke
protected.
up. Jade broke
Yeah,
up.
so it was protected, which
But
was good.
we legitimately stood there for a second and went,
gonna
they're
do
actually
it.
going to win.
Yeah.
They're going to do this.
So close.
But so I'm trying to remember all the movements in the finish, because Kyrie went to hit her from the top turnbuckle,
So
and Jade caught her
in a
In a powerbomb.
in a powerbomb.
spun her around.
Spun her around to an
she
electric
she
chair.
fell down first.
Oh yeah, fell down.
Oh, yeah, brought her back up.
Spun
Spun her around.
Then
Threw her up.
threw her up. Caught
Did her finish.
Caught her halfway.
Oh, that's right. And then did the finish.
Like
It was, oh my
Go
god.
and see
the
it.
strength to get that done was just
But also, like,
ridiculous, and it looked.
It was looked
fluid.
phenomenal.
It was just so fluent though. Like there was so many movements
Yeah.
to move Kyrie around to get it done, and at no point did she like have to stop and catch herself or adjust. It was just
And like you could see the crowd saw that as well, and it's
Yeah.
like
Ooh,
when
ooh.
she did the part where she like dropped her and then caught her and put her back up for the finish, the
They
crowd just
popped.
like
Yeah.
launched onto their feet. It was
But I have to admit,
amazing.
what I found interesting was it was Bianca in the end who got the pin.
yeah.
So she came in and then she gave Asuka the KOD
onto
onto
Kyrie.
Kyrie.
Yeah.
onto Kyrie, then pinned Kyrie, and she got the win.
Yes.
Which was it. But I guess that makes sense though, because she's the veteran and she's been there longer.
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't think it really mattered. I mean,
No, I don't think it
Jade
mattered.
got her highlights.
yeah.
Yeah,
She
true,
got her,
true.
like in the process of
Yeah.
that match, that finish helped make her a bigger star.
And again, like I know
Now we're going to
people-
expect stuff like that.
Well, people have also been complaining, obviously, saying that she's been in really quick matches and they're trying to protect her and stuff. That match was 17 minutes, and she definitely was not protected. She was in the ring for a lot of that
wrestled.
match.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
a lot of
shared
it
a
was
lot.
Bianca, but
Yeah.
yeah, she definitely was in there for her fair share of that match.
Yeah.
And she's got a hell of a boot. That boot that she does.
It looks vicious.
It looks vicious, yeah. Because she's got her own spin on it, the way she does it too.
Yeah.
Which I think is very
kind
cool.
of like lurches forward and just
I
throws
Yeah.
all the weight.
we predicted they were going to win these titles.
Yeah.
We saw this coming.
Yeah.
I really hope now they just destroy the women's division
Yes.
for like
Everybody.
6 to 8
Everybody.
months. Just nobody touches
Well,
them.
look, can I just say this is a good opportunity to give Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler a bit more credit because they can go and now lose to a team and it's not going to make them look bad because they should get a tag match with them that goes for 20 plus minutes.
Yeah.
Because
I would
they
like
can
to see
pull
that
it off
match.
and make it look good. You know what I mean?
Well, you're
But
gonna get
Bianca and Jade winning doesn't hurt them.
But I want Bianca and Jade to squash
Everybody.
Chelsea and Pipe and Niven. Squash the party
Chelsea.
girls. Squash literally every
Yeah.
other team you possibly
Just
can.
destroy them.
And build up towards you're probably going to have obviously the turn on each other. There's going to be something
Yeah.
between Bianca and Bailey at some
Yeah.
point.
Triple threat coming up there, I think.
Can win of the ring, maybe? Who knows?
Oh.
But yeah, make them fully dominant until it implodes and then they end up versing each other.
Yeah.
That's what they have to do.
No, that sounds good. Look, all in all, I know we had that bit in the middle that was very awkward, but I think the finish definitely
Oh, it saved it.
it helped it. And the crowd also helped because they were chanting the whole
there other
time.
chants for that
They
one?
were going nuts for this one as well. Like every near fall.
Oh, their chance for every near fall is so entertaining.
Yes, they did chant "you effed up," but you know,
But someone did.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
They fixed
weren't
it, but
wrong.
someone did.
They weren't wrong. So we get to the last match. We get to the main event of the pay-per-view, which, by the way, first ever main event title match that was refereed by a female.
Yep.
Yep.
And first ever championship match since 2022 that did not have an interference in it.
Oh, I didn't
That's
even
what
think
happens
of that.
when
was a
Roman doesn't
stri-
have the title anymore.
Straight one-on-one match. There you go. Dan,
the
your
last
favourite.
Mate, singles 1-on-1, can't beat it,
The
baby.
last one was Roman versus Matt Riddle on, I think it was at SmackDown.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
That was the last match that didn't have an interference for that title.
Jeez. All right. Well, this match.
But yeah, like, I wanted you to give the proper props to Jessica Carr, the referee.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
Sorry.
she has been a great referee for WWE for a very long time.
She's very prominent.
Very prominent. Doesn't stay prominent in the camera angles like someone else does. Miss Edwards. But like you said, first woman to main event, like to referee a main event match and a title match as
Yes.
well for the WWE Championship. And I think she did a really good job.
No, she did
Like
fantastic.
this match
she always
was
does a good job.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of spots where, she had to check on both wrestlers. She did it really, really well. And I think she fully deserves this. And that's like, I don't want us to brush over the fact that she's like, this is a very big thing for her in her career.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that she does very well is you literally forget she's there. And I mean that in the nicest way because she doesn't get in the way. She checks on them and does her thing without you going, oh, she just checked on them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
correct.
just squeezed each other's hands. Like, she's very good at what she does. So congratulations to Jessica. Well done. That's absolutely awesome. And I'm sure we're going to see more of it. But this match went for 27 minutes and 20 seconds. It
Good
definitely, I think it felt a little bit longer to me. I thought it went longer than that, but that's pretty long, let's be honest.
I thought it would have gone like just over half an hour, but
Yeah, it's close.
Pretty
It's
close.
about half an
Once you add all the entrance and obviously the camera at
like,
the
that's
start
the
with
thing.
Samantha doing the introductions
Yeah.
and everything else, it's definitely over half an
What?
hour.
Yeah, obviously the entrance of Cody with them singing Kingdom. We'll go. I want to find Santi's TikTok
Yeah.
to find out what he rated them because if you haven't
It
watched
was loud.
Santi Zap's TikTok or Instagram pages, he gives every PLE crowd a ranking for their woes from Cody.
Yeah.
So you get the first woe, and then you get your backup woe. Is the second one around.
They were both solid 9 out of 10s.
They
man.
absolutely were. So on SmackDown, I think he gave him an 8.7 or an 8.8
Yeah.
for it for the crowd, which was phenomenal for for a crowd, even for a SmackDown.
Yeah.
But this time, I think they were bigger and louder, and I reckon he's going to give him 9.5 out of 10. Like they
It's
were
got to.
real
It's got to.
big. And the fact
And then the
that
fact that they kept singing the song,
Which is the one I'm
after
trying
as
to find.
well,
Yeah.
and like they were just so loud, man.
amazing.
so the song for AJ Styles is, I'm not going to say it in French. Sorry.
Do you want me to try? You want to show
have a
me?
crack
What
at
do
it,
you got?
have a
Which
crack
one
at
is it? Which one is it?
This one here.
What? That one?
The one that says AJ Styles. Last verament.
Oh, il est vraiment phénoménal. La 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 la.
La, la, la. So
It's actually la 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 la, but I thought it was da 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 da.
it works both ways.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's a nursery rhyme thing, but it is a French song.
Yeah, it's like he truly is.
He is truly phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Da 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 da.
So yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, that crowd, and like you said, Ted, it made it hard for AJ. Knowing
You could
that,
see he was just trying to keep a straight face. He's like,
he would have loved it, but like he's the heel. I can't have the crowd cheering for this. I'm meant to be the bad guy.
what he did very well later on, and I don't know if this was pre-planned or they just decided on the fly, was that he then ripped off the top of the French announce table, which first time he got booed.
It was the only way for him to get heat.
Yeah, it's right.
It
You're
was
right.
like any big sort of move that he did, the crowd would just start.
Yeah, they
with
just
that
start
chant.
that chant every time. I mean, his moves are phenomenal. Da 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 da. We might need to stop that.
And we also, the other part too, and I want to give more props to as well, was Samantha Irvin's ring announcements throughout the whole night was obviously really, really good. And again, with this one, when he's your challenger, the phenomenal
Da 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 da.
like they even leaned into it with her
Yeah.
calling him that, so that they got those chances. The match started. Like it was just they leaned into it really well. Whether or not this actually tied into why AJ had this match with Cody, maybe WWE knew that this was such a thing in France that if we put AJ out in the ring, this is the reaction he's going to get.
Yeah.
I don't think they expected it to be as big as it was.
No,
but-
I don't think so. I don't think they realized it all because, you know, it's very hard to have him stay as a heel when you've got the crowd chanting for him every single time someone says the P word. Like, it's just...
You
really don't want to do
this,
it anymore,
do
do
you?
you?
Mate,
Ted?
we keep doing it, you know? We just... I don't know. We just want to sort it out a little
It's
bit.
just a this podcast episode thing.
It
Yes,
is.
for sure.
And maybe the other one. For the normal weekly one. But look, it was just a very, very good match. Considering these two have never wrestled before,
They did a
you never would have thought that watching it, would you?
phenomenal job.
Da, 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 da.
All right, last one.
It was too sweet.
Yeah, too sweet.
Too sweet.
Slap.
I think
we got two sweet chants for the match.
We
as well.
did get some
did.
too sweet
was
chants.
great.
They also said Bullet Club on commentary.
They did.
You mentioned that, so that was interesting. I think that they did a really good job with this. I think they've given us a really, really good match, but not everything.
No.
I think these two both have more in the tank.
Yeah.
There
And I
is
think
going to
we're
be
getting
some
a
good
rematch.
matches down the line.
Oh, for sure.
Because they kind of, on the SmackDown beforehand, AJ kind of led into, obviously, the too sweet stuff with Bullet Club. He led into, that you were given everything because you're the son of Dusty Rhodes. I had to work for everything. But they never really leaned into the fact that AJ faced Dusty Rhodes for the NWA title and beat him for it. He was wearing the gear from when he did that.
Yeah.
But they haven't really put that into the story yet. So I still think
not yet.
there's a couple
I think
more
there's
steps
still
for them to go.
And the fact they're both from Georgia and all that. And,
They lent into that in the lead up. So
But there's more. Because, this was only really two.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe they won't because they really are trying to move away from mentioning
Dusty
Dusty,
stuff.
all the time because Cody's now champion and they want him to be, a champion in his own right. Because, I mean, and Dusty's never going to disappear because he's Dusty and everyone loves Dusty. But I think they are trying to purposely, mention him but not make him the whole crux of the story because we had that already before... before even the last WrestleMania, the WrestleMania before that, we had it, right? So I think they're trying to make sure that it's mentioned, but it doesn't become the main catalyst. So,
I think I said to you guys when we were watching this, and this might be a controversial take, but this was WWE's attempt at the Ospreay versus Danielson match from Dynasty. That our main Uncle Dave gave 6.5 stars. He's not going to give this 6.5 stars. No. It wasn't as good as that, right?
no, he's going to give it 7.
But a lot of the spots and the in-ring psychology that these guys used was very similar to what Ospreay and Danielson did. The point where they both get into the corner after they've worked each other over for 15, 20 minutes, sort of slap each other up, like, let's just go, and then they start punching. That's exactly what happened in the Dynasty match. The fact where they kick out of each other's finishes, they try different finishes. There was at the point where he was looking for the Styles clash. Like, they built this match up, I think, those two, to say, we can do it as well.
yes.
We have stories, but you know what? If you want us to wrestle a 30-minute match,
do
guess
it.
what? We can do it.
But
And they
also
did.
they're showing it that they're not just going to do it all the time.
Correct.
It's got to have a meaning. It's got to have reason. Like there's a title. It's a title match overseas in Lyon. The crowd's hot. You've got,
Give them something to
Jessica
remember.
being the first woman to referee the match. Like there's all these other things that were sort of piled into it. Like, yes, every now and then we might be lucky and you might get one of these matches on Raw once every 3 or 4 months, right? You might get a Chad Gable versus Gunther. But they're not going to be doing it all the time, but they just wanted to show that, yeah, we can do this.
And
You
that's-
know? we
that's
can
not-
we story tell, but
Yeah.
we can wrestle.
That's not me trying to throw shade at AEW at all.
No.
Like, I think we said this on the podcast me and Reece had, that Dynasty was one of the best, like, in-ring, bell-to-bell pay-per-views you'll ever watch.
Yeah.
And that match with Danielson and Ospreay was fantastic. I'm not comparing that this match was as good as or anywhere close to it, but this is WWE's shot to prove, yeah, we're still in the same ballpark. We can still do this.
Yeah.
And Cody and AJ were so good in this in terms of some of the mechanics they had in the ring, the fluidity of the reversals and stuff. There was no point, like you said, it was 27 minutes. It didn't feel like 27 minutes.
No, it didn't.
It went much quicker because it just flowed really well. There was no real major stalls and stuff. And then the one thing that I said was I'd like to have seen a few more finisher reversals towards the end. I wanted to see a Styles clash.
Yeah.
Him catch, a P arm off the ropes. And like, because he did 2 Cody Cutters. One off the ropes.
Yeah,
one off
he did the one off the
turnbuckle.
top of the
Yeah, and
turnbuckle,
then
one
like
off the ropes. Yeah.
the springboard one that he did.
Yeah. So, I mean, Cody got his spots in, but I think AJ maybe could have hit a couple more.
I really hope that, like, I called it as it was kind of happening when Cody had the Kimura lock on AJ Styles. I really hoped that he was able to reverse that into the Styles
That would've been
clash.
cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you had rolled him over, he would have been right near the ropes, and Cody could have just put his momentum.
Maybe that
put
was the
his
plan and
leg on
didn't
his
quite
rope.
pay off.
Yeah.
But maybe they could also be saving it for another match down the road. But I think, you were saying about maybe a few more near falls and stuff, but I think, and this is now the second match we've seen with AJ where finishes are being protected because he did it with
Yes.
LA, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happening here because obviously we got to the build-up of Cody versus Roman, and I mentioned that at the time. Cody beats him with 1 Crossroads.
Yep.
Because obviously we've seen forever he's had to do 2 or 3 or whatever on Bloodline.
Yep.
But that's because Roman was 1,300 day champion. You know what I mean? Like,
And also, in this, we saw Cody kick out at 1 from a Death Valley driver.
yes.
So, like,
And Hulk up.
And Hulk, yeah.
The bullhammer. Bullhammer?
Yeah.
Burning hammer.
Burning hammer.
That's the
Which
one.
is upside down Death Valley driver. Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, like, it was really, really good match. It was a very, very good match. It was very good main event to a very, very good pay-per-view. And the crowd, the entire time, they were singing the French national anthem.
Yeah.
They were singing Seven Nation Army.
Yeah.
They were constantly chanting for AJ Styles because of
Yeah.
that word that Ted doesn't want me to say anymore.
Well, I was going to say
one last time?
I was going to say because literally all we can say about the crowd is that they were phenomenal. Da 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 da. And you have to admit they have now set the bar.
Yeah.
The
for
bar.
crowds.
Set the bar.
They have set the bar. So other crowds, you gotta turn up, man, because that's what's expected now. That's absolutely what's expected. I mean, I thought Australia were pretty good. And I know that you said that obviously we were in a stadium as well where the sound sort of channels up.
outdoors,
And
yeah.
they were indoors and that. But still, that was like when Randy came out, if I pop back, just to point out how loud they were, you heard them over his music. Yep.
Yeah.
You couldn't hear his
barely hear
music.
music.
You could hear the crowd. And you imagine what it must have been like for those wrestlers being in the middle of that room with all the sound.
You could
just
see it on
hitting
their
them.
faces, man. Every single one of them loved
Like,
it.
even during SmackDown, like, every wrestler that came out, they got a massive pop. Like,
Yeah.
when LA Knight came out on SmackDown, he just, like, looked around and was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like Paul Heyman.
You see him mouth
Yeah.
wow when he walked out. You can see him
so
say
crazy.
it. So
It was great.
I think it's a very solid, I reckon at least 4 out of 5 stars for the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
I think that's a solid.
It was very predictable,
Yeah.
but not in a bad way that it was predictable. Same
Yeah.
as Elimination Chamber.
Well, like,
we
that's
all
the
knew
thing,
what was
like,
going to win.
We had 3 brand new champions coming out of WrestleMania. They weren't dropping the titles
No.
in the first
Yeah.
defenses. Like, it just happens.
But now you've got Jade has a title with Bianca.
yeah.
Yeah, I think every match
Everything
had the right
happened the way
finish.
that it should have happened.
They were good matches.
And
They
that
were solid
makes good
matches.
TV.
We had movements in certain storylines. We had an awesome debut of a new Bloodline member.
Yep.
And the crowd, seriously, like I guess if you really wanted to, you could say it was almost 5 just because of the crowd, like 5
Almost,
stars.
yeah.
So, good pay-per-view.
Loved it.
Didn't overshadow other pay-per-views, but did absolutely awesome. And it was entertaining from start to
It was its own unique thing.
Yeah. So what's next? It's King and Queen of the Ring, isn't it?
It is, yep.
3 weeks from now.
And check out our other podcasts because we will be talking about some of the matches that have been announced. Hopefully, we'll probably mention a couple, and it is stacked. So
Got some good first round matches.
But let us know what you thought of Backlash, what you thought of the crowd. Let us know if you speak French.
Oui, oui.
Parlez-vous français?
Parlez-vous français?
Great song.
Let us know.
Art versus
Ted
science.
doesn't know who we're talking about.
You know Art versus science.
Are you joking? Are you actually
I'm
kidding?
pretty sure me and Ted went to like a festival to watch this like 12
years
years ago.
I partied with Art versus Science after.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Jim, good bloke. Thanks, Jim.
Jim Gray from the Pony?
No.
I don't know what you're talking about now. Look, thank you, Mr. Daniel Danielson. Thank you, Roddy Reece. I'm Booker Ted. Let us know what you thought about Backlash. Give us your star rating in the comments. Let us know if we're on the mark, off the mark. What was your favourite match? Check us out. Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, all those other great ones. Thank you for joining us here. Madison Square Garage, around the pool table of relevancy. We'll see you next time, guys. Two sweets!
That was phenomenal.